Welcome everybody to episode 2 of The Dark Arts. I'm your host David Bates. I want to thank everybody who watched and liked episode 1. We appreciate it so much. But let's get into our next guest. I want everyone to take a look at the dark arts of Hydra Morningstar. Welcome to episode 2 of The Dark Arts. Joining me today is Hydra M Star. Hello, Hydra.
Hello.
I'm trying to resist a Marvel urge, to say Hail Hydra. I'm trying. It might happen.
Well, go with your urge.
How many times has that happened? Several.
Yeah, especially after the movie, whichever movie it was, came out.
So you've done a bunch of different writings. Candy, Blood, and Sex. It was part of the Ladies and Gentlemen of Horror Anthology, which took an inspiration from Red Riding Hood. There's some of these things I'm definitely gonna fuck the names up. I already can see that. The Belian Woman. That's correct.
Close enough. That way or Beolian, or it kind of all depends on how you pronounce Belial to begin with.
Exactly.
And there's several ways that are all considered appropriate to pronounce that name, so it kind of depends on how you pronounce that. Yeah, that was a column I wrote for a while.
That was a collection of horror stories or horror erotic stories that went from 2010.
Not stories. That's nonfiction. That's my only little foray into nonfiction. So.
Okay.
Yeah.
That was 2010 to 2012, so that's 2 years. That's awesome. Great Grandmother's Necklace, which was out of the No One Gets Out Alive anthology. Bon Appetit with Alder Stratus. And then you're also the publisher of Infernal Ink magazine and the owner of Infernal Ink books.
I sure am.
Did I miss anything? I always try to make sure I get it all.
Always forget a few things. Let's see, there was Fucked Up Fairy Tales. I was part of that, and I've done a lot. Always forget a few things myself, and somebody yells at me later for forgetting the thing they were part of. Yeah, you hit all the high notes. You hit all the high notes.
Score. So, at what age did you did you write your first story? What was the first memory of you writing?
I want to say around I want to say 8 or 9. I remember clearly the first thing I wrote. It was sort of my takeoff on Alice in Wonderland, starring me and my little Pomeranian named Sassy. That was the first thing I ever read. I would say it was around, yeah, seven, eight, nine, somewhere in there. Um, fun fact. I'm dyslexic as all fuck.
Oh,
So yeah, so I mean, it was a real struggle getting started, and that those first few stories were.
do you still have issues with that now, or not really?
I have a time with names for some reason, and I
Okay.
kind of sometimes I reverse like I's and E's, and then I have to and I'll reverse numbers pretty bad at times, but when I was middle school, my grandparents enrolled me in an after school program that I attended for 3 years, 4 years. That helped a lot with training me not, basically training me not to be dyslexic.
Hmm.
But so
So
yeah,
like training your brain to like see things a
yeah,
certain way, or
yeah, like training me more to catch the mistakes kind of in the moment that I'm making them, which I still we all mess up, but
completely true.
and
So
that's and that's the thing I would like to say to all the grammar Nazis and the people who worry about the grammar Nazis out there online. Um, I get paid fairly regularly to edit people's work who get paid to write, and I cannot tell you how many times these people use the wrong your or
oh
their.
yeah.
I mean, there's one writer in particular I can think of where if he uses the word your, either one of them, it's about a 50-50 shot it's going to be the right one. It really is. It's like a 50-50 shot on whether or not it's going to be the right one. And he gets published all the time in all sorts of places, and everybody loves his writing. So, don't sweat making little mistakes like that. You can train yourself to overcome it, and there's always editing.
Very true. So what influenced your writings and stories like growing up? Like I know you did one that was based off of the Red Riding Hood. So like was Grim Fairy Tales like an influence, or what was the influences?
Um, Fairy tales, folklore, Disney was a big influence early on. All the Disney stories. Mythology later, demonology, uh, all the ology. That sort of thing factors in pretty heavily. I just finished the rough draft on a story that's going to go into Erotica magazine's coming back for one more issue in honor of the publisher, and that was where I kind of got my start. I had the Alien Woman column through them, and I just finished a story that it's based off of kind of my take on chaos magic and necrophilia.
Awesome.
Yeah, those kind of things influence my work quite a bit. Quite a bit.
So currently, which going into that, currently you write about a lot of horror erotic stories. Do you feel that market is growing and becoming more popular, or is it still a bit underground?
It's quite a bit underground still, but I can tell you in the years since I started Infernal Link magazine, which I started in 2012, I've seen a lot more acceptance of it, both from small publishers coming up that are either focusing on it or will accept it and push books in that genre. Um, a lot of people, a lot of your bibliophiles really hate it, but Kindle was a game changer. Kindle completely changed the game on what you can write and actually make money on and find readers for. Because when Kindle hit, a lot of these publishers that were like, no graphic sex, no necrophilia, no whatever, um, writers just went, well, I've written a story, I can't find anywhere to put it. I can self-publish it on Kindle.
Hmm.
So, we're cool. And I think, and a lot of the smaller publishers have realized that, hey, these people found a market. I can tap into that market as well. Um, and there's still a certain amount of prestige that comes with being with a publisher versus being self-published. So the
Mm.
authors are on board with the small presses like Infernal Ink Books that are really pushing that genre. But there's a lot more acceptance
Yeah, I
than
have
that.
a couple of friends who do like the horror, erotic, and stuff like that. And I
Mhm.
believe I saw something about like there's a convention for it. Is that true or is that new?
I haven't seen it. If there is, it news to me. I
Hmm.
know there are like paranormal erotic
I think that might have been what.
conferences because I have a friend that's involved with one of those, and they're those genres. It's a kissing cousin kind of genre.
Okay.
Um, very very similar. It just the paranormal erotica leans more towards the romance
Hmm.
side than the gorier, more violent.
Okay.
Uh, think, Twilight if it didn't suck and they actually banged. And that's
Since you
kind of
mentioned
what
like
paranormal erotica.
the sex scenes in that, I'll have to ask the question about. So what did you think about like because like 50 Shades of Grey that became the thing where and what is
Yeah,
your take on how popular that became?
that became the thing for a hot minute. Well, I mean, my opinion on it is not very informed because I have not books and I have not seen the movie. So my opinion is fairly ignorant.
Hmm.
Um, but from the excerpts I did read and the parts of the movies I've seen, through YouTube and such online, I wasn't impressed. Um, it seemed to be a real watered down, outsider understanding of what BDSM is.
That's what I always sort of saw it as too, like bored
Hmm.
housewives who are like, ooh, I like to get spanked. Ooh, I'm
Yeah,
naughty.
yeah.
That's the
And
impression
it's
that
a
I
lot.
got.
Yeah, and it's a lot of. I mean, the impression I got too was that it focuses pretty heavily on the girl in the story being coerced into it, being kind of dragged into it reluctantly, and like, that's not really been my experience with people who are involved in that. Um,
Mm.
Limited involvement in it. That's really not been my experience that anyone is coercing or. I mean, it does happen, but those aren't healthy relationships.
No,
So
you know.
probably not what you want to romanticize, but yeah, I mean, it was a popular for a hot minute, and it got people a little bit more accepting of erotica. So ultimately, maybe it's a good thing.
Yeah,
Um,
I've seen in the thing that comes with like the BDSM thing, I the term daddy, like I think that's sort of becoming
yeah,
too outplayed now, where there it's being
yeah,
said way too much now, and it's just like you're killing it.
yeah. Well, I mean, that's the problem with anything once it hits kind of the mainstream consciousness, is it gets completely just watered down and played out. I mean,
Yeah, like
look at what they've done to vampires. I mean, like it's getting pretty rough.
a friend of mine, like, because I never watched. This is like when the first movie came out, and a friend of mine, she told me she went to see it, and she told me like about the scene where I guess he goes, "This is the body of a killer," and he like sparkles, and I'm
Oh
like, "No, he
God.
didn't." I'm like, "Get the fuck out of here!" I'm like, "No," and then I saw it. I'm like, "Oh my god."
Yeah, believe it or not, the book's worse. Yeah,
Ugh.
it's pretty bad. And then you got the Vampire Diaries, which was honestly a little better because they did actually like just kill a bunch of people. I mean, the body count on that show was just ridiculous. Um, you have the Vampire Diaries.
It's and when people were talking about the 50 Shades of Grey, the whole thing, I was like, I told anybody that would mention it, I'd say, I go, what you need to do is like, to me, one of the better movies was The Secretary with James
Yeah,
Spader.
yeah.
That to me represents it way better than what 50 Shades did.
Yeah, I mean, my comment on a lot of it was, well, you realize you can get BDSM porn online, right?
You know, there's this thing called the internet.
Yeah, this thing called the internet, and you just type things into a Google search. You'll be amazed what you can find. Uh, or hell, we can reference them now to David Harris.
Yes, David,
Talk,
who just won
go talk.
an award just
Yes,
recently.
yes, congrats to them on that. That actually made me smile a lot when I saw that he had posted that.
That
Um,
was really cool.
we can reference them off to them, and he'll be happy to make them whatever kinky video they want. Be a lot better than 50 Shades of Grey.
Yes. So are there any new books or any new stories you're working on currently?
Well, I just this is where I'm gonna fuck up the pronunciation. I just announced the open call for submissions on the Lustcraftian Horrors anthology. It's gonna be the first one or the first multi-author book, Infernal Link books.
Hmm.
Have 5 submissions so far. Haven't read a single one of them. Can't tell you anything about them. So I just haven't had time the last few days. I announced it on the 20th, and I just haven't had time to sit down and read them yet. But that's going to be all Lovecraft inspired erotica, which
Like
there's
Cthulhu
been
with
a few,
tentacles and some weird stuff going on?
yes, yeah, weird, fish people getting it on, um, that sort of thing. At least that's what I'm hoping. At least that's what I'm hoping is in my inbox. I
Be
may, I
creative,
may
people.
open it up.
We're
I
tentacle
mean,
porn. Come on.
yeah, exactly. I mean, sometimes the submissions I get for the magazine are not at all what I thought they were going to be. But I'm hoping that's what it is. But I'm working on that. I have 2 other single author books that are pretty close to being finished. They're going to be out this year, or I'm gonna have to murder someone. Uh, so one of them is The Satyr of New Orleans by Gregory T. Cross, and um, I've been promised I'm going to have the final draft on that this weekend. We'll see. And then the other is Kindred of Cain by Destiny West, and they're both vampire stories, but they're very
I dig me some
Destiny's.
vampire stuff.
Yeah, yeah. Destiny's book, it started its life as a shorter kind of novella-ish length book called Lamia, and she had it out. And I've known Destiny for years. We were both, together in Erotica magazine back in the day. And things didn't go well with the publisher she had, and she kind of cycled it through a couple other publishers. Well, press being what it is, things didn't go super great with them, and she had planned originally to have it as a series, and then she got into filmmaking. Partner are filmmakers now,
Oh, cool.
and so she decided to kind of finish off the series by expanding the first book out into a full-length novel. So that's what Kindred of Cain. And we've been working a lot
With that being
on getting
said,
it in shape.
would you consider any of your stories like to be like made into like a mini film or like a short video type thing? Like, is there any consideration for that?
Possibly. I mean, her and I haven't really spoken about that. They're working right now on a book. Casper, that's her partner. They're working on a prequel to his book.
Okay.
I think they had their last weekend of filming this past weekend. Um, so I'm not sure. They're based in Australia. So it
Oh,
would be
wow.
really hard. So it'd be really hard to like work on it face to face
Yeah.
on set with them. I mean, that would basically mean me moving to Australia for a little bit.
Mm.
So that would be kind of difficult. But I'm open to anything like that. Um, the only thing is like with a lot of my stuff is you'd have to have a pretty good CGI
Mm.
budget for some of it because I deal with a lot of like really like transformation and a lot of like things with hooves and horns. You'd need a pretty good makeup and CGI budget. That's
Mm.
just hard. That's hard. I mean, especially when you're dealing with really indie stuff.
Yeah, and
That's pretty
especially when
hard.
you're independent, it's
It's all, you go to Kickstarter and you try to, and yeah, I mean, so I'm open to it, but that's really just not where my focus is right now. I'm just more focused on books, which are it's a lot easier to get those done and get those out.
yeah. Well, there's
Mm.
another talent that you have that I would imagine is a little bit more difficult. So how did you get it into pyrography or pyrography? How the hell do you say that?
Pyrography. That,
That
that's my best attempt at it.
I want to
I'm
say
sure it's another one that
pyrography.
word. Yeah, I'm sure there's another one of those words you can pronounce 17 different ways. Um, that was, well, I was very first introduced to it in about the 11th, no, it wasn't 8th grade, ninth grade, somewhere. Middle school. Um, and it was an art class we were all required to take, which I enjoy taking, but you know how tomfoolery with kids who don't want to take a class can be.
Yes.
So we were introduced to it. The teacher had one or two tools there. I can show you mine and kind of give you an idea. The tools, this is kind of what you're dealing with. This end is kind of sharp, kind of like a pencil. You can change out different tips, but all of this gets hot.
Mm.
All of this you see here will take off several layers of flesh when it's turned on.
Yeah.
Okay?
So note to self, don't grab there.
That you don't touch that. You only. In fact, it gets a little warm here at times. But just to give you an idea of what the tool looks like, so this story kind of makes a little more sense. Um, she had a couple of those tools in the class, and I was lucky. I got to use it the first day, and we were doing like little wood sculptures. It was horrible. My piece just looked horrible. But I did like different religious symbols into mine, like cross, Star of David, yin yang symbol, few other things kind of in that same vein. Um, and I had my piece done. And then the next day, the two boys that were using the tool decided they were going to horse around, and they kind of touched each other with the part they didn't think was hot.
Mm.
And that was a mistake. um, and they ended up burned, and it was kind of like, okay, well, we're done. Uh,
It always takes
so
one or two to screw it up for
it only
everybody.
takes, yeah, pretty much. And they were the type, they were, they were the basketball players in the class. They weren't really in art. They were just there because they had to be. That sort of thing. So they didn't care. Like they didn't care. It was a whole thing. But that's kids. So I didn't see another tool for several years after that. Like it was several years because it just disappeared out the classroom. And when I was pregnant with my daughter, which would have been 2000, she was born in 2001, so late 2000, early 2001. I was kind of like, I had pregnancy. I mean, I don't want to make it sound like pregnancy was horrible, but it had some complications.
Hmm.
And I was looking for, things I could do creatively because I've just never been one to really just sit and watch TV or sit and watch like Netflix even. Like I'm just like I've got to all like even if I'm watching something, I got to always be doing something. So I was looking for something, I could create, and I was trying to put together, my first kind of serious grown up altar.
Hmm.
Um, because I'd kind of had some stuff before, but I wanted something a little bit more impressive than what I had. And I'm shit at painting. I'm shit at it. So I was in the hobby store and I was like, what can I do? What can I do? What can I do? Because, this was before a lot of the online options to just go purchase something was around. I was like, what can I do? What can I do? And I saw the wood burning tool. I bet I could do that. And so, I kind of made my first kind of like transfer and got it's a, it's a tabletop. You know how you can
Hmm.
buy the wooden tabletops and stick the legs on yourself and,
Yeah.
you've made your own table. Um, it was a tabletop and I burned the sigil into it. And that was the first piece I did right out the gate. Like, I mean, I don't start small. That was the first thing I did straight out the gate. And people who are familiar with me online or visited my website or social media pages or whatever have seen this. I've seen this Baphomet because it is the one that is in the very famous picture of my cat, Cyrus the Orange, where
Yes,
he
I've seen him.
yes, he is the happy house cat who fucks with who fucks with Satan heavy. Um, everybody's probably seen the meme by now, but that is the original first ever wood burning project of mine sitting behind him.
Wow.
Yeah, like I said, I didn't start small. And then,
I can tell like you've definitely gotten way better. Like a lot of your
yeah,
stuff
I
is
mean,
just amazing now.
yeah, like I mean that when I look at that one because it's right there actually, in the room from me. When I look at that one, like I see a lot of mistakes. That one, like when like now, it's like, oh, I would have done that different. Oh, I would have done, like there's a lot of it I would have done differently to what I do
Mhm.
now. But that was
How
the
long
one
did
that
it
kicked
take you to
everything
get
off.
like to really fine tune like how long did it take for you to really be like, okay, now I know exactly how to do this?
Oh, years. I mean, just years. Because after I did that, um, some local friends saw it and really liked it, but they weren't Satanists. And I made a lot of Ouija boards. Ouija boards were actually what really got me started in selling stuff.
Hmm.
I've made tons of Ouija boards, which is funny because I rarely make them now. But I made like I made Egyptian themed ones and Wiccan themed ones and moon themed ones and I'm just kept turning them out. And that was kind of where I got the practice and just perfected,
Okay.
what I was doing because I was just making a lot of them there for a while. And then, MySpace became a thing and, um, went on there and I posted a picture, obviously different picture than the one Cyrus is in, but I posted pictures of, you know, my altar and so forth and so on. And I had people for years asking me, is it for sale? Is it for sale? And I was always like, it's not. I really don't have the licensing to do the official sigil. And, I kind of, because I just, like, it's a big undertaking doing
Mhm.
the large ones. Um, and I just kind of hemmed and hawed with that for a while. But then I eventually did open, a shop for for the stuff I was making and selling at the time. And it was a lot of it is geared towards, more occult type things. I have a few BDSM items like paddles, things of that such, but a lot of it's geared towards like, paranormal and the occult. And I still was having people ask me about the Baphomet. So I finally, it was just, I was like, okay. I was like, well, okay, if people want it that bad, I'll see about getting the license for it, which turned out to be super easy. Get
Huh.
the license for, as a COS member in good standing, it was pretty easy to get the licensing for it. And I've started making stuff, and I've been doing that for a few years now. Those items sell pretty good. People
I know
seem to be.
your newest design is a unicorn.
Oh yes, I actually have a couple of things here with that. This is a box I just burned. It still needs to be stained.
I show that to my wife, and she's just like, oh, because she loves
Yeah,
unicorns. So
yeah.
she,
All the women love unicorns. I mean, I've always loved them, but all the ladies love them. But yeah, so I've been doing that, which that's brand new. Like the only thing listed is the small plaques right now because I have to. Because see, that's the thing with my shop is in order to put up a listing, I have to make the item or a prototype of the item and list it, and then people can get it in different colors, and they can order things in slightly different sizes and things. But in order to do so it takes a long time to get a full range of products up. So anyone who's watching this, by the time it airs, I probably won't have the full unicorn line up yet, but if there's anything particular you want, I'm always taking custom orders.
I can see a
Always.
unicorn paddle in the future.
It's a distinct possibility.
Speaking of, is there any new designs, anything new that you have, like on off the top of your head that you're looking, or something that you're like, man, I want to do this now for design? Anything new?
The unicorn sigil was or I call it sigil of unicorn, was bouncing around in my head for like ever. Probably since the end of last year. I've been meaning to get to it. There's a lot of little stuff like that. Like I have a lot of the well, not a lot unfortunately, but a few of the Goetia symbols. I
Okay.
want to do like a full line of those, but that's a lot of prototypes. That's just just a lot. But I have a few of those up. I really like symbols and symbolism. Like that's really what I enjoy. I'd like to eventually do some runes, like the little wooden discs, the runes
Mm.
on them. I'd like to do that eventually, but I kind of want to. Well, I don't really have currently a woodworking shop, so I have to find suppliers that can give me a unfinished product, like a box or the little disc or whatever.
Okay.
And I haven't really found a supplier that can supply me consistently with something that would be appropriate to do the runes
I
on.
know Michael's, or
Hobby Lobby or
Hobby Lobby. Then but that would
yeah.
affect your price because you usually you'd have to get them at cost maybe through a manufacturer
Well,
or.
no, I actually get a lot of stuff from Hobby Lobby, which seems well, their prices are very reasonable.
Okay.
That's the benefit of them getting everything from China. Um, like literally everything in there's from China or India, mostly China. But I actually get, which is, it's funny when I go to Hobby Lobby. It's like Lucifer himself has shown up at the Hobby Lobby when I walk in. Some of the looks I get are just hilarious. But and I'm just sitting there like, if y'all only knew. If y'all only knew, like this box I'm buying, there's a sigil of Baphomet going on the top of this. Um, but yeah, they actually have very reasonable prices there. Michaels, I haven't shopped at as much. Their selection doesn't seem to be as great, but
Nah, not really.
I mean, you can get things online fairly cheaply. But the thing about a lot of the places where you can buy cheap or wholesale, a lot of them that sell to just average buyers like myself who are only going to be buying maybe two or three or four of any
Yeah.
given thing at one time. A lot of those sellers are ones that are selling what they're discontinuing,
Oh, okay.
which means I can get 7 or 8 of a box, but once those are gone, I'm not getting that again.
So it becomes
So
limited edition.
yeah, it becomes okay. I can do 7 of these, or I mean, there are some cases where I've only gotten like one, and because there's one box design is actually this one right here, which is going to become a unicorn.
Oh, that's
It's
nice.
going to get a unicorn. It's going to get a unicorn on it at some point. It comes in 3 different sizes, and they're sold literally everywhere. But the problem is the manufacturer is not exactly meticulous in the
Mm,
product they release. So a lot of times when you find them, the lids are like really scratched up, or they got like these weird stains across the top of them. And everybody
mm.
loves that, but I cannot find a supplier who provides me with quality versions of that design. So those are usually a one time, like I'll do one, like I have one right now in the larger size
One shot
with the
visit.
Baphomet. Yeah, I have one in the larger size with the Baphomet on it in my shop right now. And it's a one, like this, if you order this, this is the one you're getting, and I'll stain it whatever color you want, but I cannot guarantee I'm going to find another one in this size anytime in the near future, because it's one of those
Gotcha.
I have to go to the store and physically look at it and make sure it's okay when I buy it. Because for whatever reason, the manufacturers of those are just nightmare. Like I can't
Well,
tell you how many of those I've seen that are just crap. But
well, before I let you go, I want to go back to Cyrus.
oh
What
god,
was your first reaction when you saw the meme pop up and saw like your cat became a meme?
I laughed like I was laughing like so hard because it's like just I mean, and I kind of understand why it took off. Like, I kind of get like why everyone thinks it's so funny, and it took off because the stereotypical thing is the Satanist with the black cat and black everything. The
Yes.
Baphomet's black, the cat's black, the wall's black. Tablecloth on the table's black, everything's black, and he is just so not that. Um, like, the cat's supposed to be sort of like scowling at you like it's going to kill you. And he's just so not that at all. Like, he is just a fluffy, happy, smiling little boy, little orange boy at that.
He
Uh,
was in his happy place.
he's always in his happy place when he's in front of the camera. Uh, I mean, he has his own. He has his own Facebook page. Yeah. After the meme came out, I was like, well, I'll just give you your own Facebook page because everybody's going to keep tagging me in this. They
Yeah.
can tag him now. But he's just, he's just funny. And he was like the cat. He was so the cat I didn't want. Like he was so like at the time I got him, I already had 2, and I had said for like the last year or 2 before he came out the walls, like it's 2 and that's it. Like we're not getting any more cats. Like this is just not. Like I was very like, we're not getting any more cats. Like this, no.
I will confirm or
Um,
deny if I have 4 cats right now. I will
I was
neither
like,
confirm nor
but
deny it.
see, when we had gotten the two we had the two we had previous to him, when we had gotten one of them, she was pregnant.
Okay.
And she had 6 kittens. And we had another cat at that time. So we went through having 8 cats at one time. So we had double what you have, and 6 of them were kittens.
Oh.
So after that, I found homes for all except for one of them, which, I had decided to keep her anyway. But, and the other one he had to go. But, we had the 2, and I was like, we're not like, I can't do any more than 2. I was like, we went through 8. I can't, I was like, we're not collecting more. But, my daughter came in one night, and she was like, I hear something in the wall in the bathroom. Like, you hear something in the wall in the bathroom. Like, what are you talking about? It's squeaking.
No.
And I went in there. I heard nothing. Like, I heard nothing. I'm looking at this child like she's lost her damn mind. I'm like, I hear nothing. I'm like, I don't hear anything. And so, that went on for at least 2 days per day, a full 24 hours at least, of like, I hear squeaking. I go in there, nothing. Like, maybe you're hearing, like, we got one of the vents on the roof for the, the heating unit. Like, maybe you're hearing that. Like, I don't know. And so then finally, on the second night, I hear squeaking in the bathroom. And I'm like, oh Lord, what is this? And I could tell it was an animal. I couldn't tell if it was a puppy or a kitten or a rat. I was like, it's something. So the next day, that was like at midnight. So the next day I had a plumber come. And, we thought first we were going to have to take the whole tub out to deal with this situation, but he cut a hole in my closet. By this point, I'd kind of figured out it was a cat. And I was like, well, if it's a cat, I was like, I guess we got to deal with it. And I thought to myself, don't be a boy. Don't be a boy. And don't be orange. Don't be a boy and don't be orange. Like that was I don't know what, like, I was like, don't be a boy and don't be orange. Because boy cats are so hard to find homes for. Yeah. And I was like, don't be a boy and don't be orange. Because I had so many orange cats, and it was like, just be orange and don't be a boy. And he came out the wall and he was orange and a boy. And he was about a week old. Which means I was then on bottle duty and 3 a.m. feedings for a month or 2. Oof. By the time we got through that, it was like I was fully attached, and it was like, well, I guess you're not.
Now he's. And he turned out to be the happiest cat with the big sigil behind him.
Oh yeah, he's the happiest little boy, but he was the cat I definitely did not want. So, he really lucked out. He had some satanic magic working for him or something. He had something working for him, because he was the cat I did not want.
Well, speaking of how he has his own Facebook page, if people wanted to get a hold of you, your publishings, or they wanted their own sigil, where would they go?
Well, smoke signals are the best. I have my website, HydraMstar.com. That has links to everything. Just down at the bottom, you can find my Twitter, my public Facebook page. You can look me up on Facebook, because Facebook hates me, and Facebook has always hated me, and Facebook will continue to hate me. They forced me to go by the name Heidi Morningstar on my regular page, where you can friend request me, but you can find me on there too. Just, expect me to be yeah, I'm a little weird on Facebook, but just, I just warn people, don't take any of it seriously.
No.
Because half the time I'm just throwing random shit up there. Just stuff about twins and unicorns and whatever randomness comes into my head that day. They can find me there, and they can look up Infernal Link magazine on there, Infernal Link books, and just basically type it into a search engine, and you'll end up in the
And
right
we'll
place.
find you.
Yeah, I mean, I'm like the easiest person in the world to find.
Well, I wanted to thank you for being my second ever guest. Second. Thank you so much.
Yeah, John will probably cancel the show now.
Yeah, he's gonna kill
Yeah, he's probably gonna cancel. He's like, what the hell is this?
But thank you again.
Thank you.
It's a pleasure talking to you. And hail Satan.
Hail Satan.